Right here I have 3 pieces of carbon fiber that I'm going to use to put into here. I just sprayed some 71 spray tack on the back to kind of get them to hold their shape so they're not falling apart. While that's drying, I'm going to start waxing the mold. So the way I do is I take some of this part all paste too. Just get a nice little thick layer on my little sponge thing. And literally just slapping it all over. And then I just let it sit for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops, and wipe it off and repeat the process. So me personally, after doing several of these and not wanting to risk issues, I just do 10 coats of wax on my first mold, like my fresh mold, and then after that I might just do like three coats after, and then eventually just kind of work your way down to 1, so that way it's just, it releases and there's no risk of harming the mold. So all right, there's that, and I'm just gonna let it hang out for a little bit, just kind of bake away, if you will. So what I like to do before I start laying up anything is I like to know how much my mold weighs without anything in it. So it's looking like 372. I'm just gonna round up to 373. So I have this little chart, Google, whatever you want to call it, 373 grams. This is what I just keep all my notes for the projects, just so I kind of have an idea of what they all take. So now I know how much grams the mold weighs without any carbon fiber in it. So now when I put the carbon fiber in, I don't have to actually weigh the carbon fiber. I just weigh the mold and then take the difference of the with and without the fiber, and that's essentially how much resin I'm gonna need to calculate for. So what I'm gonna do now is just go in and mask off the edges of the mold. So when I'm laying down the carbon fiber and all that stuff, it doesn't get dirty with any of the spray tack. So that's as simple as that. So here's my 3 layers of carbon fiber that I'm going to put into the mold. Make sure it's nice and clean, no residue. I'm going to grab some gloves now. Now I just got to look at which one is my best one. So as you can see here, I actually have a few pieces of fiber. So that's not going to be the prettiest first layer. This one looks really nice though. So I'm going to use this as my first layer for the part. So now I'm just going to start to gently place it into place. All right. And it's important to make sure that you have enough. So for this part, the part dies off right at the edge over here. So that's why I was hoping I could just use some of this old carbon fiber I had laying around. So now I'm just gonna grab this little wheel and just gently shape it like so. All right. Oops. So just got to be careful with that. not to get too aggressive. So as you can see here, the weaves kind of go apart. So I'm just gonna go in and just gently manually adjust them, just to make sure that first layer looks pretty. Okay. Alright, so what I'll do is take this little strand and just pull it out. Since it's already loose, it's not gonna really stay. And now that's there. I'm gonna grab some of my 71 spray tack. Okay, so all I'm gonna do is just gently light mist. I definitely do not want a lot, but I do want some to keep it stuck. All right. And now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So just go in, separate it from the part, shape it, pull it back, and just light mist. I got a fan blowing behind me, so that's why I kind of blew it out of the way. Hopefully I have enough to just get it to stick. Do the same thing over here. There we go. Pop it in place. And then let's see if this won't hurt to throw some over here too. There we go. Okay. So that's good. Perfect. All right. Now, what I will do is trim some of the excess right here. Since it's getting too close to the edge and it's unnecessary. There we go. Actually, I could take this and overlay it right here in case I need a little bit more carbon fiber in that area. So there we go. I'm gonna go in, take some of that off, and throw this one right in here. Beautiful. Okay. And then I will do the same right here. Just a little bit off the edges, all right. Okay, I'm a little concerned. I did not like the feeling of what it was going on over here. Felt like there would be bridging, but so see what I'm trying to do now is just get a little bit more carbon fiber down, so that way what I'm doing here is I'm holding on one side and pushing on the other and just kind of getting a feel for the reaction. Okay, so that feels good. All right. Now we're gonna go in like that. As you can see, for me, the most concerning area is this middle. So I'm trying to make sure that this is nice and confined. And then I work my way out to the outside. There we go. Just like that. All right. Now I could go in, cut this off. Place it right over here, like that. There we go. And do the same thing over here. Place this one right there. Just so we have some extra carbon fiber to kind of trim when we do trim. And I don't like the feeling of that. Okay. Now the last piece. I'm just trying to make sure when I'm putting it down, I'm only putting it down while holding pressure on the center. So that way it doesn't pull it and create some bridging issues. All right. That I'll just leave as is. That's looking good. And then we have a bunch of excess right here, so just trim it off. Place it right here. There we go. And do the same thing with this side. And I'm just gonna place this one right over here. All right, so that is good. I like the look of that. Perfect. Okay. So now, like I mentioned, we're gonna scale it again, or weigh it again. So we're at 390. So 373. Notepad 390 minus 373. So I'm just gonna make that in the notes. Perfect. All right, got it. So now I'm just gonna pause the video real quick. All right, now it is on to the peel ply. And here we go. Have some excess laying around. So what I am going to do is I printed this little template out of the 3D program. So this is essentially my my part. So my logic is, if I cut out enough with bleed, that should do it. All right, so now let's just take a look at how this fits. Perfect. Fits wonderful. So I'm just gonna light little mist and pop this one in here. So I am just going to work from the outside in. And then I could cut more if I need to, it's no big deal. I just want to make sure I have plenty, because if I go halfway on both sides and then I have to start extending each side, it's just going to be more of a pain in the butt. So now that I have that, I could go in and shape it like so. All right, perfect. Now, kind of the same thing over here. Just kind of work my way out. All right. So as you can see, this little area right here, I'm gonna grab these scissors. These work very well for the peel ply. I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a recess cut like that. Then again, I want to make sure that I don't risk getting any bridging. That to me is the biggest fear of all this stuff, is always getting bridging, because once you get that, the whole part's ruined. And for me, if it doesn't look good out of the mold, I have no desire to try to fix it with resin and all that. I just call it a failed part. Okay, perfect. So there's that. That's looking good. All right, so I gotta turn that fan off. This is annoying. And this way I can just cover that. All right, so there's that. That's looking good. So now the last thing left is flow mesh. And so for that, I'm just gonna actually remove all this. And then while I do that, I'm gonna go in and make sure I trim all these little things that could create issues when bagging. This is why I use the masking tape. I absolutely hate this crap right here. This is how you get air leaks. Okay. All right. Okay. Make sure that is clean. Same thing. So when I'm going to be applying the gum tape, this area right here, this is going to be an annoying thing to look out for. All right, so I got a little flow mesh cut, and this is my workflow for cutting this stuff. It's a tiny part. It's going to infuse very quickly, so I'm not too concerned about making the whole thing covered in flow mesh. So what I'm gonna do here is just kind of go in, do a quick little shape like that, cut that out. There we go. All right. So that's good. And then what I am going to do is go in and cut that there. Like I mentioned, bridging for me is the thing I fear the most. So even though maybe it will be okay, I just have no desire to take a risk. So what I'm gonna do here is just cut this center part out. Like this. All right. So now I'm gonna put the mesh inside. I could wrap it all around here. As you can see, it's getting a little like flimsy. So what I'm actually gonna do is just cut it right there. Now that gives me the ability to be very comfortable with how I warp it and distort it, if you will. Just spray this sucker down. And apply it. So as you can see, that's looking awesome. Now this stuff, let's see. So see, I really don't want to risk it not bagging properly. So what I'm gonna do is really trim the fat. Here. Spray it down. There we go. Beautiful. And what I'll do here too, I mean I could, but it's not really gonna matter. Just throw this one right over here. And the idea here is this little connection is going to allow the resin to flow. But, okay. Either way, it's a small part. With the medium cure resin that I'm using, is still going to infuse, no problem. So now, all I got to do is extend this a little bit more, add a little bit more Peel Ply, and I am almost ready to bag it. Okay. Yeah, I want them to just briefly touch. Just like that. And I don't want any flow mesh on the non-bag side. And honestly, the less I have, the better. So that way it goes directly to the part and not just all over the place. Like that. There we go. Perfect. So there's that. It's gonna go perfect. The last thing to do is to bag it. So I have not calculated the size of the bag. So this is how I like to do it. So I have one of these rulers. All right. And so I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna have a little bit of a pleat. Now I'm gonna go over here, put my finger in for where the resin line's gonna go. Go over here, add another pleat. All right, so I'm looking at around 20-21 inches. That will work for me. 20-21 by honestly 20 by 20 would work. 20 by 20. So that's gonna be the bags, and I just gotta cut the bag out. So I'm gonna pause the video. There's really no point in me filming that. All right, so measured it out, 20 by 20. So I got the bag cut. Now to apply the gum tape onto the bag, because like my other video showed, this is the workflow that I like to do. It's just, to me, it's more consistent with the bag not having issues. Thanks to Nick, Boise Carbon. He's the one who told me about this. It's a game changer. All right. So make sure there's no debris. So I did cut it 21 by 20. And when I was doing the little rough measurements, it looks like the side where like the feed line and stuff is favorably the longer side for pleats. So I just gotta do a quick little mark to know which one's which. Okay. There's that. So just like the other one, go in and trim the fat. Perfect. I'm just gonna flip it upside down real quick. Go in, make sure everything's nice and snug and tight. It's definitely been a long time since I did a tiny bag like this. Okay. Perfect. There's that. I don't need much. Vacuum line, however, I'll just go like this. Does need a little more, but not a crazy amount. So, before I do anything else, grab some of my quick connects. I gotta do a test, make sure it holds. Otherwise, that would be useless. So, right there. All right. Perfect. All right, so that is going to be my vacuum line. As you can see, it gets really close to the carbon fiber, but that's all right. We are somewhere right there. Okay. All right. Move this on over here with the bag and the rubbing alcohol. So 21 by 20. 21 is the side where my actual feed line and such is. So go in. Apply some of this. Now go in and just clean it off. Make sure there's no debris. Perfect. Now, I'm just gonna pop this edge right here, right on the edge. Get it as close as possible so that way I have a little bit more forgiveness due to the tight flanges. This one I just wanted to print on one piece without having to glue anything or fuse anything together. That's why the flange sucks, but I honestly could have added more. Whatever. My other molds, way better than this. Okay. So now, just do a little cut right there. That's roughly the center of the tape. Beautiful. All right. So there's that. Take this one, and I do want it upward so that way the hose kind of goes up. It's just going to make life easier during infusion. So I am going to place it right there. Awesome. And now, just like this, and stretch it out to the other side. That way it just really gets in there. Now go in. Perfect. All right. Trim the fat. Okay. Now I'm gonna go in, peel this off. There we go. Perfect. Squeeze that in. Now do the same thing on this side. Make sure it's clean underneath. And just gonna trim that right there. All right, there we go. Get that tucked in. Get the paper off and get the flange made. Beautiful. All right, moving on to the other side. Same exact thing. Clean it off. All right. So, got that done. That's looking good. Suck a little bit of the air out, just so I could shape it. There we go. Plenty of bag. Awesome. All right, so now I'm gonna hook it up to the vacuum and do a drop test. So that's looking good. Now we just slowly open up the vacuum to this. So that's, before I check the actual like values of if I'm leaking air or not, I'm just gonna kind of shape it, make sure that everything here is snug and looking good. All right, so we're at 495. So this has got to leak somewhere. So now we just start going around and seeing when it reacts. This is the fun stuff. So there we go. We got something happening. It was right in this area. We're at 271, 272. Woo, now we're talking. All right, we're at 100, we're at 92. Now we're dropping. So now I'm going to go ahead and measure the resin, let this sit for a little bit. It's at 2, just keep an eye on it, but it's looking solid. So now it's the resin time, and then it's infusion time. All right, so it is 17 grams of actual carbon fiber in there. Now I'm just gonna do, because my stuff is 3 to 1, I'm gonna do 30 grams of resin and 10 grams of hardener. This thing's almost empty, so I'm just gonna. All right. I'm just gonna grab one of these old rags, put it over here. Now, time to degas. Pop that in there. Make sure that's open. and turn it on. And now just gently close it off. And watch the bubbles form. So now I'm just going to close it off, turn this off, and slowly let air in. I don't want to go too quick because I don't want to generate any bubbles by the impact. There we go. Fantastic. Now my resin's degassed. I am going to just gently pour it into the cup, or the Gatorade bottle, I should say. All right. Now I just fold this cup like so, pop it in there. Awesome. Connect my hose to here. Turn it on. Oops. I just want to center that just in case. Beautiful. All right, open that one up. Now, I'm going to just open up the bottom. There we go. And really open it up. Now, because it's not a lot of resin, what I don't want to do is risk air bubbles getting to the top. So I am going to create a backup right here. There we go. And now it's infusion time. So just gently open this one. And hopefully it goes. Whoops. Close it off a little bit so it's not too fast. But there we go. Everything is moving successfully. So now we just watch it. I'm watching kind of the resin down here as well as the infusion. Open it up just a little bit more. All right, and I could see the air pocket, a little bubble that was left over from there moving. So that's good, I see movement. Awesome. Things are moving down here. Now what I am going to do is just lift this up just a little bit. Position this one a little upright. Oh, that clamp got loose. Alright, I got some of this stuff in here. So that way it infuses upward. Like that. As you can see, we're working our way through it. It's still good. So the carbon fiber part is kind of the important area is right there. So this is looking fantastic. Everything that I wanted to infuse is infused. So I'm actually going to clamp this off now. That's good. That's awesome. I'm going to kind of clamp that off. Maybe just leave a tiny little gap. Now I could turn my heater on. So that's it. We are done. All right, and it is time to see what the part came out looking like. So I'm just gonna quickly move this stuff out of the way. pop this one over here for the second. Okay. Alright. Like that. Okay. Oh boy, it popped out. I didn't even have to. Alright, so that released just fine. No damage to the mold. Awesome. And we get to inspect it right away. And not seeing any pinholes. I'm not seeing any bridging. I am happy. All right, so there's that. So this stuff right here, this little white stuff, that actually comes off. I'm not quite sure what it is because it looks like it's almost like the primer, but original part, it's gonna fit better like that. But I guess I have to 3D print me a template where to cut. Even though it's, I kind of see it, but I just like having templates. It makes it so nice and consistent. But there you go. That's that. There's the part. It's awesome. All right, so now it's time to make the template to cut out the actual part and where to put the holes for the hardware. So here is the 3D model on the kind of bike, if you will. So 3D Max works in radius, and the diameter of the nut, whatever, is 7 millimeters or 6.5 or 6.2, so I'm gonna offset it to be 7. So anyhow, I kind of want the hardware to be where the full kind of strip is, so that way it's more hidden. So I am just gonna create 2 little cylinders. So for their radius, 3.5. This doesn't really matter, but 60 sides. So let's say, well, first what I wanted to do is perfectly centered to this area. So the easiest way to do that is, let's say I want to add one right here. You could either eyeball it, or if you really want to get picky with kind of accuracy, if you will, we're going to create a backup of the part. I'm going to delete everything but this little inside, just like this. So now we can turbo smooth it as many times as you want. So let's say, okay, we are going to put this one right here. So I'm just going to quickly swift loop, go in, create a shape. All right. So for the moment, I'm just going to leave that as that, and I'm going to do this other one. So let's say I want this hardware kind of right here. Perfect. So I'm going to hide that for the moment, go back to my little shape. So swift loop, connect, create. Now I can delete that, hide this, take this, center the pivot point of it. I have a shortcut, but the way to do that is you go to this hierarchy, I pick pivot, and center to object. And now, if you just take this, Shift A, and align it, it's going to be perfectly centered on that part. So I got a bunch of other crap here, as you can see, but here are the hero elements right here. So now that I have this is where I would want to cut my actual holes for the hardware. So now what I'm going to do is take this object. I am going to duplicate it. Well, I don't really need to because I'm not going to save the file override, but just in case. And again, this is the face of the part. The back side I don't need because that's essentially the carbon fiber part. So I'm going to go in, delete that, delete that. I am going to take these two objects with this select and link it to this, and now I could hold Alt, press A, click on this mold, and with all these objects selected, the rotation and position, and then go in, press S, make sure you have vertex mode on and snapping, and you just right click on this toggle to show that, and just drag and drop so that way it's a perfect fit. So there we go. Now we have our hardware perfectly aligned with the mold. And now what I'm going to do is actually go in here. So select by smoothing group because we did make this smoothing group 1. I am going to delete the backside. So now the trick here is this is going to be our cut reference. So I'm going to duplicate this one. I'm going to add a Shell Pro modifier. And you could add Shell. This is just my preference. Unfortunately, this is not a free plugin, it's a paid plugin. Alright, I don't want any beveling, none of that stuff. I'm going to collapse that. Then go in, and let's see here. Apply Turbo Smooth, select by smoothing groups. I'm going to hide that other one. So let's do this. Assign smoothing group 2. So there we go, just like that. And what we can do is go a little deeper. Well, I'm going to undo this real quick. I did 4. See, that's the problem, is you definitely do want a lot more than less. So it has some meat 3D print on. So I'm just going to do 3. So same thing like before. Select these, give it a different smoothing group. And then what I'm actually going to try to do is, where is this box? By angle, select this. And I am going to do a little insert like this. And this just offsets the polygons, so that way I could do something like that, remove them. Now I have a finer line to kind of trim the model to. So now Turbo Smooth, 1, 2, 3, there we go, hide this one. So that's looking good. And now what I probably want to do is, so I'm going to select these inside vertices, grow the selection, and just as you can see, you kind of see an X-ray mode. I'm just going to move it up just a little bit, like so. Alright, that's looking good. Select this and this, and what you want to do is when you move these things, change it from view to local. That's important, so that way it does move it at the angle that you originally set it up. This is not looking proper, because if this is my part, it's angled. So I'm just going to manually rotate it around. Let's see here. This is just the top view. There we go. And do the same thing over here. There we go. Perfect. Alright. And now the last thing left to do is go to Compound Object, Boolean, Subtract, click Add this. There we go. And I am going to do the same exact thing again on the other one. Track. There we go. So now this is ready to be 3D printed. That's how I create my templates for cutting. Alright, so just got the 3D printed template. Here's my carbon fiber piece. If done right, just like that, they pop right into place. So now what I'm going to do is just take silver Sharpie. This one's not the best condition. Grab another one. Just make a little reference mark. There we go. So now I know where to drill the holes. So I'm going to drill these out right now. Then assemble it with the hardware. And then make a perfect cut line. There we go. And now for this one, what I like to do is use a Sharpie that's kind of got a thin edge, just to make it as perfect as possible to the surface. Going over it just to ensure that I do have a good reference. And there we go. As you can see, a perfect, beautiful cut line that I could follow as a guide. No guesswork, nothing. So now I'm just gonna go outside. I'm gonna trim this up and I'll just start recording when this is ready. All right, so after sanding, here is the final part. Spray a little rubbing alcohol on it just to get the reflections showing before I clear coat it. But that's it. Take this off my head just so I could focus in on this. I'm very happy with the result of this one. No pinholes, clean, smooth surface. All right, here we go. Now I just gotta do 1, 2, 3 more parts, but then this one has 2 in here, 2 in there, and then I'll clear coat them all at once. But that is the Harley Davidson exhaust heat shield from start to finish.